What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be taking a look at the game Dead Man's Curse. This is a prototype game, and the object of the game is you're going to be trying to get the most amount of victory points by the time the game ends. So, let's take a look at it. You've got 4 different player mats over here, and they're going to represent 4 different factions. Right here, you've got the Vikings, you've got the crew, which is going to be pirates typically. You have the Ancients, and then you also have the Undead. So you're going to go ahead and pick one of these factions, and then you're going to go ahead and set your pieces up. Now, depending on how many players there are, you're going to set them up differently. If you're doing a 2-player game, you're going to set them up like this on either side. If you're doing a 3-player game, you're going to set it up the way I have it over here. And as you know, it's slightly different. Some of the pieces are set up in an angular way. And then in a 4-player game, you're just going to set them all up over here in this setup. So the game basically is going to have the regular pieces as in chess. It's going to have pawns and knights and things like that. I'll go ahead and show you one of the pawns here. It's going to have the symbol of the piece, so you can go ahead and look at it, and it's rather detailed. Now note that this is a prototype, and they're going to be printing with different materials when the game gets released. So if you've never played chess before, here's how the movement works. Now the pawns are going to move differently depending on how many players there are in the beginning. For a 3-player game, a pawn is going to be able to move up 2 or forward 1 on their first turn, or they'll be able to move this way as well, 1 space or 2 spaces. And then after that, it's going to be able to move 1, and then it'll also be able to move diagonally up if it is trying to initiate a capture, which basically means trying to take another player's piece off the board. If you have the rook, you'll be able to move it vertically and horizontally like this. This is the knight. The knight will be able to move 2 up and 1 over like that, or 1 over and then 2 up, or 1 over and then 2 down, basically the shape of an L. The bishop's going to be able to move diagonally like so. You have the queen here. The queen's going to be able to move vertically, horizontally, and diagonally. The king will be able to do the same thing, only it's going to move 1 space at a time. So something like this. Now, some of the differences in this and regular chess is you're not going to be able to do castling. There's no El Passant play, which is a rare play anyway. The other rule is you're not trying to capture the king to win the game. The king acts as a regular piece. So I'll go ahead and show you one of the boards here and just kind of give you an idea of what's going on. Each player is going to be receiving 9 cards in a battlefield deck, and I'll go ahead and show you what these cards are. You're going to have an option to use these cards in the game if you want. This one says move 1 or both rooks, move a rook twice. Here's one that says move a bishop or move a pawn. So several different cards. Each player is also going to be receiving a boost deck and an epic act deck. Now, if you're able to use the boost deck, this is going to allow you to get an extra ability to add to one of your players. So here's an example. This one says the cultist may move like Cthulhu and may also make an extended attack against an adjacent piece. So if you get this, you can actually attach it to one of your players like so, and this will just tell you what this person's special ability is, and you'll be able to use it throughout the game, unless you end up losing it through capture or through another card. And you're going to go ahead and use these cards when you get them. The Epic Act card is going to be a card you can hold on to, and you can use it at any time or just depending on what the card says. Here's an example. This says target a 3x3 area, roll a die for each in the area, capturing it on a 4+, which is the die roll. So this is a fairly powerful deck of cards, but they're a little harder to try to get control of. So the game has 2 different phases. It's going to have the boost phase, and it's also going to have the battlefield phase. In the boost phase, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and roll a die and see what you will have access to. Each player is going to have a faction ability. This is a sacrifice. This one says capture one of your own cultist pieces to draw a ritual card and player discard it, and then add +1 to your roll for every 2 of your captured pieces for the options below. For the boost card, you're going to have to roll a 6 or more. For the Epic Act card, you're going to have to roll an 8 or more. As you're capturing pieces, for every 2 pieces that you have, you're going to be able to add 1 extra number to your die roll. So depending on what you roll, this is going to give you a choice. If you ended up rolling like a 9, for example, you'll be able to choose from one of these 3 options over here. Okay, so next up is going to be the battlefield phase. So let's just say I roll, and I've rolled a 6. Let's say I am the crew, and this is going to give me a choice to either do the blunderbuss, which is capture an opponent's piece with a VP less than the die's value, adjacent to one of your pieces, or it says draw a shipmate card and player discard it. So let's just say I decide I'm going to go ahead and draw a shipmate card for my choice. This one says, this queen may be placed in any open space, then your battlefield phase ends. So you'll actually be able to move this piece anywhere. So this is the queen piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stick this on the bottom, and then I'm going to put this card right here. And so this is going to indicate what power this card has. So since I made that choice, now we're going to go ahead and go to the battlefield phase. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw from the battlefield deck. And this says move a knight twice. Now, I do not have to do this if I do not want to. So I'm going to go ahead and move this knight 1, 2 over like that. And let's say I go over here like so, and I've gone ahead and moved both of my knights. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make what is called the standard move. So what you can do is you can actually use the boost card over here and then do a standard move. You have to make a standard move of some kind. So let's just say this pawn is not in this space. So let's just say I happen to say I'm going to go over here like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and move. Let's just say I happen to move over here. Now, because of my boost card, my turn is going to end here. But let's just say I didn't have the boost card and I wanted to initiate an attack. So what's going to happen is each player is going to go ahead and roll 2 dice. And both of them are going to have a certain attack power and defense value. Now, VP is going to be victory points, and this is what you're mainly going to be going for. Right now, the queen has an attack of 8. And the pawn over there has a defense of 2. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and roll both the dice. So let's say the queen rolls, she gets an 8. And let's say the pawn rolls and gets a 7. So the queen has defeated the pawn. Now, if the pawn ended up winning in this case, the queen would actually get captured, unless there's a card that says otherwise. The defending player is going to have a chance to try to block it. In order to do that, you're going to have to roll a 6, which it did. So it ended up successfully blocking it. But let's just say it didn't block it, it rolled a 3. What'll happen is I'm going to go ahead and take this piece off the board and capture it, and then I'll move my queen over into that spot over there. Now, on top of that, there are cards that are going to allow you to do an extended attack and shoot. Essentially, what an extended attack is, it's going to allow you to attack another piece from a spot that is not adjacent to it. So I say I was over here, I could try to attack this piece. Both players would go ahead and roll the dice, and whichever player would win is going to end up capturing the other piece. And of course, you'll have an option to block if you're the defender. If you're shooting, the only difference with that is you're going to roll the dice, but if the attacking player loses, they are not going to end up getting captured. Also, you can do what's called a promotion. If you're able to get a pawn to an opposing player's side, let's just say these 2 pieces were here and we had a pawn go over there somehow, you'd be able to promote this piece. And the way you would do that is you would go ahead and just pick a piece of yours that was captured and then replace the pawn with it. So the game is going to essentially end in which the final battlefield card was drawn, and the winner is going to be declared based on the remaining victory points on the board. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at what the pieces that you have on the board are, and then you're going to go ahead and find out how many victory points are each worth, and then you're going to go ahead and add all of them up. Whoever has the most amount of victory points is going to win the game. Okay, so here's the deal with this game. This is a game that takes chess and basically turns it into an all-out brawl. You are going to be doing a lot of attacking in this game. And one of the main reasons is because the more pieces that you have, the more you're going to be able to add to your die roll whenever you are trying to decide what you want to do as far as getting an epic card, getting a boost card, or using your faction ability. Now, in typical chess, it's all about strategy. It's all about setting up your pieces and then going into the middle part of the game and then going into the end part of the game when you're basically trying to take out the king and put him in checkmate. That is not the case with this game. This game really does have a little bit of strategy in it, but mainly what you're going to be doing is you're going to be trying to just attack, and trying to capture as many pieces as you can. You can tell this because the attack powers on all the pieces are going to be stronger than the defense powers on the pieces. Now, one thing I like about it is, number one, is that if you're not much of a fan of chess, you can still enjoy this game because it has all the chess movements in there, but they amped it up to another level. And it may actually interest you in trying to learn standard chess, which is far different. Having 4 players on there can be very interesting because you can make alliances with people, and then of course you can attack from long distances and things like that. And so this game, I think, would appeal to people who enjoy battle games that may not necessarily enjoy chess, or maybe they do enjoy chess, but would like to play a game that has the idea of chess but just takes it like to a whole new level of battling and attacking and having a little bit of strategy and also a little bit of luck with the dice rolls. Would I recommend this game? I would definitely recommend trying it out. It definitely has a lot of these modern day mechanics as far as using special ability cards and then having the pieces do special movements. So it's kind of like a fusion of the two things. It's pretty cool. The pieces are nice. The mats that they provided are going to be really nice. And the game also has the possibility of having a lot of expansions. You could have the Romans, for example. You could have different armies of people. Like if you wanted to go medieval, you could have like the Huns. You could have the Goths or something like that. There's a lot of possibilities that you could have with this game. All right, guys. I will talk to you later. That is my review of Dead Man's Chess / Curse. Catch you later. Keep on gaming.